Hello, everyone out there in AI world. Today we're going to have a AI discussion. Many times people ask, and what should I do with AI now? And what should I stop worrying about? Well, we're going to talk about both of those sides. Most business owners, aren't trying to become AI companies. They're trying to run better businesses with less friction, fewer bottlenecks, and more clarity. Today isn't about hype or predictions. It's about what actually is working right now and what's wasting money, and how owners can use AI in practical, low risk ways without losing control of their business. So I'd like to welcome our two panelists today. Adam Lyons, he's the founder of Lyons Consulting, and he specializes in showing, and I think that's the key word, showing how to get measurable financial results using AI in days rather than months. He just became a Vista speaker several months ago, and one of the presentation's members, Harold Russell, said of him, Adam was the best speaker I've ever heard. He solved multiple business problems for us in minutes. Welcome, Adam.
Randy, thank you so much for having me. This is it's an honor.
And our other panel member, Avi Kumar, founder and CEO of Kumar, which has evolved through multiple technology cycles, including digital marketing. Today, his primary focus is bringing AI strategy implementation to his clients. He validates his promise of quick turn, positive results for every client. Avi, glad to have you here today.
I'm happy to be here.
So if we could limit your answers in this particular question to 1 minute, what do business owners most overthink about AI and what do they underthink?
Do you want to take this one first, Avi?
Sure. So my view is that they usually overthink or over worry. Business owners should think about their business. What is their business problem? And what is the bottleneck, or what areas are they not doing very well? And then go to somebody who understands AI if they don't, and ask them, hey, I've got this problem. Can AI solve it? And AI might be able to solve it, might not be able to solve it. Many of the business problems have nothing to do with AI, even though I don't help solve business problems at all. But I don't want to work with clients where it's not an AI problem. So that's the reason my initial advice is don't think AI first, think business first, and then find out what's going on. And then once you have identified your problem there, then maybe AI can solve it. And just please do not think that AI will just suddenly make if your business sucks, it's going to suck. AI is not going to solve it for you, right? You got to fix that first, right? So that's what I'm saying. Again, I'm not a business consultant, so I cannot help you if it is a business side. Actually, Adam is. So Adam might be able to help you there.
I love that answer. And in such a similar way, Randy, when we go into a company, we say the reason you're not getting an ROI with AI, and MIT did a study, 95% of companies at the end of 2025, just a month ago, were not getting any return on investment from their AI spend. And it's because they hadn't defined what they wanted to do with AI. You can't just say, let's use AI or use AI more. You got to be specific. Exactly what Avi said. When we go into a company, we get people to identify one process, but here's the kicker. That process has to be a process you know very well. You really don't want to bring AI into a process you know nothing about, as you've got no metric to compare it against for success. It's never worked before, so you don't know if it's working now. It's so much better to take an experienced implementer, someone like Avi, show them a process that you do really well, but that takes a lot of time, a lot of resources, and is so costly in terms of either manpower or revenue, and apply AI to solve that problem. You'll know it well enough to know whether it's working, and you will immediately see an ROI. And that is the best way to use AI today.
It reminds me, I was in a owner and ran an IT staffing company for over 15 years, and basically programming was the same way. One of the major steps that our clients would often miss would be bringing in a business analyst to actually design what was needed create a process and then program around it. Many times they wouldn't do that. They would just start throwing money at the program, and there have been cases where they spent $1 billion and weren't successful because they didn't take that first step. So AI is, I think, very similar to that. Thank you. If you were owned a 20 to 200 person company and you had 90 days, what was the first AI move you might make?
So,
Adam,
Avi,
if you go first this time.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't mind me going first, just because, I've consulted for over 2,000 companies since 2023 about implementing AI. And most of those companies have between 50 to 800 employees. So this is really within our sort of like matrix of clients that we work with. And this isn't a guesstimate. This isn't an opinion. This is just the thing that we tend to roll it out in first. It's almost always in one of two departments. It's either human resources, which tend to be overstressed, following all the correct rules and regulations and making sure that they're doing everything based on their area. That's a lot of information they have to gain access to, and they're constantly checking to make sure they're doing things correctly. And AI really helps out there. And then the other is in actually almost any other department as standard operating procedures. Most companies fail when it comes to having good standard operating procedures that are outlined correctly. And let's be real, that dramatically reduces the valuation of the company as well, which is a huge impact if you're trying to raise funds or if you're trying to sell the company or even just the organization of the company itself. AI-powered standard operating procedures don't fail, are consistent, and still keep a human attached to it to make sure that that end product stays exactly the way you want it to as a company.
So I agree with Adam on that, and he's going into very specifics of what he's done with those. So my general answer would be is, again, first, once you have going with the earlier thread, once you have seen the business issues and identified what they are for any size company for that matter, and especially for a larger company, then other thing you got to be aware, if you don't know anything else about AI, is that what is AI generally capable? And this is not about knowing specific models or systems or magic which you can do or tricks. It's not about that. It's about knowing basically there are certain things AI can do now which was not possible earlier. So those things are one of the first thing everybody's familiar with is AI can read. You type it in, it understands what you're typing. Natural language processing is really good. It can read. Everybody knows that. The next thing which has happened is it can hear very well now. With all the accents in the world, it doesn't matter. It can actually hear and understand and then do something with that text. It can see now. So with video, it can actually articulate. We have examples of implementing and actually correcting, basically guiding somebody in their workout by actually knowing what part they're doing wrong better than a personal trainer would do, because it's exact. It can exactly detect the problems in the motions. It can see that well by just through video. Right? So those additional capabilities which are available now of actually assessing the information and then producing the data, which is it can actually produce videos now, articulating exactly how instead of this, you should be moving your hand this way. It can take your video and convert it to the new video, how you should fix it. It can do that with the images. Text, almost everybody understands the text processing part. So the reason that matters is this is where it is AI. This is where it starts behaving human-like. You could have a robotics implementation where you don't have to train the robot anymore how much pressure to apply to pick up an object anymore, because it can actually see. It can know the object what it is, so it doesn't have to be programmed and this is a heavier or lighter object, because they'll see it. It's a dumbbell. It's heavy. Versus it's a kid's toy, which was not possible before, but it was going just by the shape and you have to train it. No more training is necessary. It can do it quickly. So if you don't know anything else about AI, know about these capabilities, then when you look at your systems and say, oh, I've got a human assistant, again, an assistant. It's not replacing human. The human being doesn't have to do that. I don't have to have somebody train it to do all these activities. That assistant will figure it out, how to move the object. Now, so these capabilities can really change the game for you in implementation in any area. It could be you are evaluating resumes, they can be done at speed. People understand that. But it can be a lot more. It could be a factory line. things running through. It could be whole process you want to change completely in your system for all the people. It can do that. So humans can focus on certain things which AI cannot, because the decision making, the business knowledge, those things AI doesn't have that. So that's more of a something can be humans can do and guide AI to do it. So keep that higher level picture of what it can do and then apply.
Kind of answered this, but where are you seeing AI deliver business value today? You got any good examples of where it's really proven out?
Yeah, I've got countless examples. Like I said, there's a lot of clients that we work with. The best value, the fastest value you're going to get is taking any process that is reliant right now today on a human, and there is human error, and there are potential complications in terms of time of how long it takes to deliver. You're going to speed up the process of that human. You're going to remove that human's needs to say, "Hey boss, quick question," where they're asking questions up the chain, waiting for an answer, coming back down before they take action. I'll give a real use case of this. We developed, along with another company, implementation company for one construction company, something that is a field coach for installing stucco in a wet environment. Now, when you're trying to apply cement and build these stucco walls in a regular environment, that's fine. But a wet environment has to be handled a very specific way. We had an AI that was trained up to fully understand how to do this, and just like Avi said, was capable of analyzing photographs to ensure that it had been fully designed the way it was supposed to and all the work was done. If you apply stucco incorrectly in a wet environment, the wall comes down. And having that on hand as an AI app that the foreman has, he just walks out, takes a picture, which he's supposed to be doing anyway, which comes back to what I said about the standard operating procedures, supposed to be. But if you go to your foreman and say, "I want pictures of everything that's been done," very few construction sites are going to be able to handle that. But the AI will actually not allow them to continue the project, not from an administrative point of view, until this photograph is taken and proves the point. Not only does this ensure that it's done correctly at the time, and although construction companies would love to tell you that error doesn't happen, it does happen. Secondarily, if something went terribly wrong and in the future, the stucco did collapse, if you installed it correctly, there would be evidence that you had installed it correctly, and it might enable you to do something, no guarantees, that very few companies have been able to do in the past, which is blame it on the materials as opposed to the work. And that shifts that liability and can help in terms of an insurance claim, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a real thing that we've built, but we haven't needed to do an insurance claim on it because obviously it's still AI is quite new and the stuff is being built correctly. So.
No, fantastic. It's kind of like being a Visti's chair. I learned about businesses I've never even heard of and processes that I've not heard of, and it's thrilling actually to hear some of the AI results that you all are getting. What about you, Avi? You have an example you could share?
So in my case, first I'll do the general way I look at this is that anytime you have a situation where you can delegate to a junior person something you're doing, and you can define it and explain it to the junior person who has lesser experience and they can do it now, it's a job for AI. Because the fact you could define it and explain to somebody who has much lesser experience than you, and they can repeat it. So any work situation where somebody has, "Hey, give me an assistant. I need few assistants to do this," or "I need somebody else to do this. This is taking most of my time while I'm not able to do these bigger things." That's a job for AI. The examples, one of the areas we live in is the marketing world. There, it's full of those, right? It's something you want an image done, you want something written. You used to hand it over to a writer. You give it to somebody to do it. It could be defined, and the process can be defined that way. That can be in real world, or it could be in a writing world, or it could be a creation world. That's a job for AI, and the saving can be tremendous because the human becomes the supervisor, making sure they're getting what they are. And then after a little training, it'll start giving you perfect, repeatable stuff there. And the ROI is very, very high in those situations. Again, identifying very specifically portions of the tasks is very, very important to get this right.
And who should be managing that internally in the company? Not the process necessarily, but the AI piece of it, the implementation that you're using AI for, who should that person be?
So, in my opinion, one risk is giving AI to IT is not a good idea because AI impacts business decisions. You need people to implement it who are IT like. So we think, oh, just give it to IT. IT will do it. IT can do it. IT should not do it because they have a very specific job, right? So instead, it needs to be person responsible for the business process because you're really improving the business process. Now, they might not know actual implementation, how to get it done, but really you're improving the business end of the day. So they need to be the champion for this and be the client for this and be approving it and getting it done, right? Underneath, they will get the right people to do it.
I love that answer, Avi. And I think, we've made an argument, and one of my more recent acquisitions, I'm a M&A expert, is in a company that specifically creates this department in companies, the Chief AI Officer department. And we argue that there is now a seventh seat on the C-suite, somebody who has an understanding of the business needs across all of the departments and understands AI well enough to know what is capable. And I agree with Avi 100%. So many companies are making the mistake of moving this into the IT department. IT gets very frustrated with AI. You're a good a good IT department is going to be very detail oriented. They're going to be very structured, and they're going to want things to work the same every single time, like if you're using code. AI doesn't work that way. AI is more of a creative tool, and you're likely to get different answers from different people who maybe put in exactly the same prompt. So the AI expert within a company is more of a decision maker that understands the needs of the company, understands what AI is capable of at any given time, bearing in mind that AI is currently evolving at a rate of a new update a month, sometimes even sooner. So somebody has to keep their finger on the pulse, and you have that AI expert in your company, your chief AI officer, who can ensure that you know when a new tool comes out, if you should use it, if you should not use it. And I think a great example of this, and Avi, you're probably all over this right now, is Claude Bot, which came out about a week ago. And this is not to be confused with Claude CLAUDE. This is Claude CLAWD. And Claude Bot is an isolated AI that can control your computer. It can move files, and it can essentially do the work of an employee. And I would say for a week, a lot of AI influencers were pushing Claude Bot as the thing everyone's been waiting for. And obviously, I got my phone calls from clients asking me, should I be using this? And I resoundingly said, absolutely not, do not touch it. It doesn't pass any of the criteria that we have for governance for rolling out an AI inside an enterprise company. Is it a fun tool that you could use on the weekend on a private computer that has no access to any of your personal data? Sure, but it's a gimmick, not a business tool. I had a lot of influencers disagreeing with me about this until today. Literally today, it all exploded. The person that created it had their own system hacked. Somebody used their data, created a crypto coin that reached, I think, 16 million and then dumped within like moments afterwards. It was a nightmare. This whole thing collapsed. My job is to ensure that when the CEO of a company calls me and says, hey, do we do this? No, or yes, if the case may be. And that's, I think that's a really important part. Like, it cannot live in the IT department. It does need its own department, or it sits with the CEO.
And what would be some success metrics that you could use to determine whether it's actually doing what the company intended it to do and you have built it to do?
I mean, this is so easy. You can just do a time measurement. So we did one. This is a very simple, specific use case. A company in Houston, pharmaceutical company. The CEO of the company brought me in for a one-day training for 200 staff members. And the very first example, I said to them, I was like, name a task that is frustrating, that you do every day, is necessary, but eats a lot of time. And the founder of the company, the CEO, said, well, every day I have to go online, I have to go to 5 different sources, look up all of the updates that have happened in the world of pharmaceuticals, and I need to see if any of them are relevant to us. It takes me about half an hour to 45 minutes every single day. I start my day, I eat breakfast, I do this, and then I have to read all the articles and decide, what I need to do. Within half an hour, we built him, and this was one we didn't even bring an expert in like Harvey. I just did this myself. We created him a tool there and then that pulled from all those sources and emailed him in the morning a pre-written summary that also knew whether there were things he should be highlighting that he should look at that might be relevant to his industry. What was 45 minutes out of his day every single day was now something that he could read in a brief, 3 minutes while he's eating food. We bought him back time, but this is super important because you mentioned how do we ROI that? Well, do we ROI it as 45 minutes a day for the most important person in the company who bills at $1,500 an hour? Because if that's the case, then we saved him $20,000 a month, give or take, and potentially even more. But rather than focus on the $250,000 win that we made in 30 minutes, that time was coming out of time with his family. How do you measure time at breakfast with your children where you're no longer on a laptop and you can now be present? How do we value that time? So yeah, that's how you measure it. And the returns are insane if you do it correctly.
Thank you, Adam.
So there is there's two parts to me for ROI. One is what Adam is talking about. That's directly measurable. Now there are, in a larger corporations, the project's ROI is actually more complex. So for a small things like that, you can measure hours. That's one way to do it. That's what Adam was talking about. And it can be measured for sure, based on their time value and things like that. In the bigger projects, you can still ROI it, but there is a component of AI which is difficult to ROI, but should not be forgotten. One of the things AI does is it makes you think very differently. And that has this many advantages which come as you go forward. Basically, right now you're thinking, oh, this is the only way to do it. This is how it is. But if you enable your people to start exploring and trying different things, it's almost cannot be measured. And that is going to be a 100x multiplier, which is coming later. I'm not saying it do not do the ROI. For smaller tools and changes, absolutely do ROI. For bigger projects, you got to also think how your workforce will change and think differently and completely change your whole company, how your company sees everything and do and not. I'll give you one of the examples we have implemented because our team is spread out, right? And now we're telling our clients to do the same thing everywhere. We have people in Bolivia, India, Philippines, and US. So we have one morning 8:30 a.m. Central Time meeting. Everybody shows up for half an hour, just sync up. We require half of our team these are around 25 people, and few don't show up, so at least 20 are there. At least half of our people every day to tell us what new they did with AI. And it could be half of our guys or 4 or 5 of them, they're trying to play with CloudBot on the side, not for the work. By the way, I completely agree with Adam. Don't bring these things into the era in your work infrastructure. You're going to lose everything. So absolutely agree. But what we are telling people is, there is exciting stuff. Even if you made a song on your own on Suno.ai, that's great because it's changing the mindset that this is possible. So you'll think more. So that aspect, when you implement some systems in-house, they start seeing the value and they say, okay, I want to know more about this. I want to try this. I want to try this. And that's so important right now for companies because that's going to be the game changer for them in few years from now, where other companies have not done that. And at the same time, the other thing which we tell clients is that tell your workforce, hey, you want to be ready for the future, right? So these trainings, using the tools, etc., is good for you. Never mind the company, right? So keeping up where it is going on. But when I say keeping up, I'm not talking about just kind of go and just read who's investing in. One of the areas I feel like nobody should keep up is that this company, AI company, invested in this one on this. And there is news. So many people just focus on news on that. Who cares? We don't know which one will win. Doesn't matter. We just know some will go away, new one will emerge. you don't have to worry too much about it. Of course, in implementation world, you got to implement agnostic. The design needs to be model agnostic, so you can switch them out and things like that. But for general business owners, you don't have to worry about that, right? So there is a ROI portion which might not be measured. That's and especially the big one. That's the one thing I just wanted to highlight beyond the ones which we do measure.
And obvious to me is a obvious example of doing what he says, and that is several months ago at our meeting, he said he had been writing music with AI, and he talked about and demonstrated a couple of songs. Well, it gave me an idea. 20 years ago, my daughter wrote a poem in high school, got 100% on it. The teacher said this ought to be a song. I actually have taken it to musicians and asking them, could you create a song? They said, no, the format's wrong. It can't be done, you know? So I went and did what Avi did and took it to AI, asked it to reformat it into a song, which it did after a couple examples. I was thinking in that first AI, I said I wanted it to be basically a piano backed song. And I gave it an example of what song. And then I sent it to another AI and it created a song and it used our daughter's voice. It was amazing. Thanks to Avi and what's possible. It's just, you know, there's no money involved, but the pride I had and was able to share with the whole family, including our daughter, was all worth the effort. But anyway, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and to me, the win is all those are great personal wins. From business point of view, you are more open to trying new stuff now from AI. That's a big win, which
right.
If every employee is doing that, they will go to the next level for sure.
Right, exactly. So what are the most common AI mistakes business owners are making now?
It's very hard to narrow that one down because there's so many. I would argue that, you know, mistake number one is avoiding it, not using AI. I think that's terrible. Mistake number two is going all in on it and focusing on it and not focusing on your business. These are two terrible things at both ends of the spectrum. I would say number three is not bringing it in to do a very specific, clear thing. I think you really do have to do that and measure the ROI. I was actually, as you mentioned earlier, I've become a Vistage speaker, and I got to spend a lot of time in Orange County as I did a whole bunch of speaking gigs, one after the other. And there was this great insight that the Vistage chair there said, which is what I like about Lyons Consulting and Adam's method, is that you use the house's money. You get your money back from the first AI tool you implement or your time back, and that enables you to keep rolling out more and more of these tools. And that really is the best way to do it. And if you do it in that way, then you can defeat the competition. But I would say the worst thing you can do is to be sold by somebody on a very, very expensive AI all-in-one infrastructure solution that's going to AI your company. Anything that vague is just terrible, and you should stay away from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm going to just use a different way of talking about the mistake, same way, like people being, so there are these extreme, a lot of people hold extreme views that AI is all fake, it just hallucinates, it's useless. Other one, it's a magic, is going to solve everything. Reality is somewhere in between, like anything else, right? This is how it works always. So just that's one mistake, right? Don't think on the extreme. It's a useful tool. It will make a difference. Is it perfect tool? No, it's not. It'll get better. Yes. Multiple tools will come out of it. Be aware of that and think of that way and be careful. You cannot just kind of try to, especially, for example, chatbot security is a major issue. It's not standard password only. There's a lot of stuff happens. You could validate some, for example, people don't even think about it. You can validate, they logged in and they're talking. Suddenly they give the phone to their friend. And their friend could be asking, hey, whose salary is what? Because that person has the access, right? So you got to validate the voice now. So there are things like that which happen. So which will not have happened on the terminal, right? It's almost like they give the laptop after logging into somebody else and let them do whatever, right? So there are things like that you have to worry about. So be aware. So don't think extremes. It's not all bad and it's not perfect. It's somewhere in between, right? And the other part, I'm completely with Adam, is that don't try to just suddenly say, I'm going to overhaul the whole company and going to bet the farm on this. You got to figure out what is your farm about, which part of the farming you want to improve, right? And then focus on that instead of saying, yeah, I'm going to just automate everything. It doesn't work like that, right? So,
well, in summary, I would like to have you answer 1, 2, or 3 questions. And you kind of already did in Avi in your last statement there. But number one AI investment that's worth the money. Number 2, one thing owners should stop doing manually. And number 3, one AI fear that's overblown. 1, 2, or 3, or all 3. Which, Adam, would you like to go first on this one?
Yeah, can you say them again? I want to make sure I get them exactly right.
Sure.
Which one's which?
One AI investment that's worth the money.
Yep.
One thing owners should stop doing manually, and one AI fear that's overblown.
Yeah, I think I think for me it's number one. One AI tool that's worth the investment, and I think that the one AI tool that is absolutely worth the investment that will work time and time again is ChatGPT, the paid account, not the free one, the paid account. I think if you learn just as the CEO, if you bought nothing else for anybody else in the company, it was just you, and you paid $20 a month for a paid seat at ChatGPT, and you used it for strategy, for marketing systems, standard operating procedures, refining your next steps, what you want to do, or analyzing your work, analyzing spreadsheets, creating tasks that are proactively pushing to you to guide you through things that you know you need to do. That tool is worth its weight in gold. And actually, I'll give you a non-business use that I think is worth its weight in gold, Randy. And this reference is something we spoke about before we came live here, which is I use my personal ChatGPT account as my personal fitness coach. It has my diet built in. It knows my workout routine. And when I want to work out, I just open up a voice tab so I can talk to it. And I say, okay, I'm about to do my next workout. What have I got to do? And it knows what I did last, what I'm supposed to do next, what weight range I'm in. And the minute I start doing the workout, it will then coach me through it and guide me through, remind me of my form and everything I need to do. And then when I finish the workout, it records it automatically, super positive, gets my mind going. And I'll be real with you. We've had the snowstorm here. You know what it's been like, Randy. It's been rough, and it's been tough. And I've had a lot of physical labor that I've been doing with that, chopping firewood, et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't feel like doing a full workout yesterday. And I'm like halfway through, and I said to it, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to make it today. And it went, you know what? With how hard you've been working, it's okay. This is the first workout that you're not going to go all the way through. Don't worry about it. We'll push harder in a couple of days. And I was like, that's so nice. There is no way my personal fitness coach would have said that to me. They would have thought, no, I need to get paid for every hour. They would never have said it's okay to go easy. But if I'd said to my AI, hey, don't do that again, or don't ever let me go easy, it would have given me that change. So yeah, that would be my number one.
Thank you.
So I will answer your question, but I did want to take this one also. So recently, and it's been now probably a month, I've been cheating on ChatGPT. That's how I describe it. Because ChatGPT was the one which I spend most of the time, all the time. The part which I really liked, and which somebody who's not used any AI, that's the reason I will still recommend ChatGPT, is their voice interface is amazing, right? You're really talking to a person, and you can go back and forth. You can take it on a walk, hike. That's what I do, kind of. And it's amazing, right? So that allows you to, even if some things are subpar, the interaction is so good that makes you very, very comfortable. So we liked it enough that I took ChatGPT's front end when they released it, and I put it around Claude. So I could talk to Claude, but I'm using the ChatGPT voice interaction, right? And so we build our own front end because I said, I want to talk, and I don't want to type anything anytime. So there. But now, Grok's voice interface has come up finally there. And it has got some interesting way of questioning things and bringing personality in and answering. So yes, if you're going to get one, go ahead, still do ChatGPT, but probably look at Grok. $20 more a month, or whatever the rate is right now. Of course, I have the more expensive ones, but get those 3 of them and try them, all 3, because even if it turns out to be $60 a month, it's not that much, right? And you will find the things. What I use now is Andrew Karpathy's the LLM Council, which is basically when I send a message, it makes them all 3 debate each other and give me the final answer. So that's what I use now. And I was doing that manually before by copy and paste. Once he released his code on the GitHub, we took that and I added my wrapper around it. That's what I really love, right? Because it just allows me to really they can let them figure it out, duke it out before they give me what they want, right? But yes, get any one of them. This is one of those things like, hey, I mean, if ChatGPT is the place you want to start, go ahead, start there. Your question, the question I want to answer is the fear. So the thing which I want to say is that this idea of that, is it too late? Am I behind? Or, it's actually a business question. Whenever a new technology comes out, you are never too late and you're always too late, right? I mean, like, you got to start. I mean, if you've not done it, it's not too late. Go and get in it, right? It's okay. If you've never used it, it's okay. You got to start somewhere. And so it's nothing about AI here. This is just a philosophical thing, right? If something is important to you and you feel it's important to your business, if you have not done it so far, do it, right? So in that sense, it's not too late. It's fine. There is enough time. You will catch up. On the other hand, yes, if you have not been doing it, it's too late. Come on, why have you not tried it, right? So it's basically, so don't be scared if you have not done it. You're not using it and you're avoiding it and you've heard that it's all bad, it's going to die. No, this technology is not going anywhere, by the way. A better version is coming. If something is wrong with it, a better version is coming and it'll keep going. There is nothing you can do to stop it, right? This is progress. So it's time to get on the bandwagon, right? And be there earlier than the others as much as you can. And if you get a little later, it's fine. If you've been focusing on business, finding out more about your business, it's okay. Somebody will come and help you and that's fine too. So don't be that scared either that your business is destroyed. No, it's nothing like that has happened either. So don't fear it, embrace it at this point.
Kind of reminds me of the old phrase, tomorrow's the first day of the rest of your life. Well, that's true of AI as well. If you haven't done it, tomorrow's a good day to start. But what I'm hearing though is AI isn't really a strategy, it's a tool. And like any tool, the value depends entirely on how intentionally it's used. The owners who win won't be the ones who adopt the most technology, but the ones who make the clearest decisions about where AI helps, which is what you stressed today, where it doesn't and where humans must stay in charge. If you leave today with one action, make it this: pick one real problem and use AI to remove friction, nothing more, nothing less. Avi, Adam, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Randy, for having us.
Thank you, Randy, for putting us together and actually connecting Adam and me back again.
Yeah, it's great.
All right.